Sagaji TV.
Sagaji TV, Sagaji TV, Sagaji TV. You don't know it yet? I don't care. So, I'm doing anime overviews when I picked a select few of anime that I give my, quick brief opinion on. And today is first one is Death Note. Death Note came out, I don't know, like 10 plus years ago. Now I've seen every single form of Death Note that has staged the world on video in video form. I've never read the manga or anything. I'm not a manga person, but I've seen Death Note the anime. I've seen Death Note the movie. Yes, I'm talking about the Netflix movie. And yeah, it was disappointing. It is what it is. And I'm talking about Netflix. And I'm talking about the Japanese Death Note movie. I've seen Death Note Playform. Maybe I'm saying that wrong. But I've seen every form of Death Note that you can watch, right? Because that's how much I like that show. It is awesome-tacular. It sucks when N dies. When L dies. N comes after L. But it sucks when L died because, of course, that was my favorite character. Now, one annoying thing I had about Death Note, so the anime itself, no. One annoying thing I had about the movie version in Japan is when Misa was not blonde. For some reason, I don't know why that annoyed me. Because I'm like, Misa, the whole thing about Misa is having that bright blonde hair. She looked different to everybody else. Not many people had different colored hair in Death Note. So for Misa, the one had that bright yellow hair. And then when you watch the movie, she don't. It's just like, okay. But they decided not to go that creative direction. But it's fine. It's fine. In the anime, there's nothing to say wrong about Death Note because those two went neck and neck, head for head. And you know what sucks? L was just too smart to go out like that. But at the same time, Killa, which was Light Yagami, I guess L needs to sacrifice stuff because otherwise Killa, or should I just say Light? Light was like the biggest threat of the whole world. He was the biggest threat. So L should go out taking Light out. Because if you didn't know, Death Note anime about a guy, a Shikigami, you just think of it, a demon from another world drops a book into the world saying, well, whoever's name you write in this book will die. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. You cannot stop it. Light Yagami, a super smart Japanese student, finds this book and is like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna kill all bad people, period. Every bad person that ever done anything wrong, I'm killing them. And that's what he does. Problem is, after a while, he starts to dictate what is bad and his brain starts to change. First it was just anybody in prison who's ever murdered anybody. Then it turns to anybody that is just bad in general. You stole this, you did that, you should die. Then it turns into anybody who opposes me should die. That's how it turned into. And L comes in, he's a detective. He's like, we gotta find this guy. And somehow he deduces that this is a teenage boy who's doing all the killing, that he lives in this area, and he's able to kill without even being in the prison. Like, it's very mentally, it's a good show if you haven't seen it. If you watch anime, that's if you're like a person who's big into action, you probably won't like this. You'll feel like it's a slow burn, but you like psychological thrillers, this is for you. But yeah, it just sucks that L had to die and then they bring him in, and I didn't really care for him like that, but I'm over it. I'm moving on to the next anime because I can go into like depth on that show. Death Paradise. Now this show is, I wouldn't say it's underrated, but if you don't catch it, you wouldn't catch it. So it was different and interesting. I like when they do things that are different and interesting. So in this anime, basically these people are dead, right? So people die and then they wind up in this bar. I don't think they realize that they're dead, but they wind up in this bar and they got like they go through a test. This bartender puts them through a test, and if you fail the test, you go to HELL. If you pass the test, you go to heaven. And that's the gist. I want to rewatch that anime. I really do. I think I'm gonna watch that after this. Yeah, I'm gonna rewatch that because it's an interesting concept. Because some of these, you're like, are these bad people? Let me make sure I'm thinking of the same anime. Yeah, it's the psychological thriller. So yeah. Basically, you have a chance to redeem your soul. A lot of people don't, and then some people do. Next anime is... Okay, so there's this anime called JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. Okay, so I gave this my best shot. I really did. I went into this like, I'm gonna have an open mind. I love anime. Let's do it weird. Let's do it different. I started watching this show and I couldn't even be like, I started watching it. I couldn't get into it. I left it alone, then came back to it. No, I started watching the show. And after episode like 5, I was like, yeah, no, I'm not watching this, and I'm not getting back into it. And this was actually a popular show. It got multiple seasons, and it did. And I'm just like, and I'm just gonna leave it alone because it was not it. It was not for me at all. Like, there are two type of, well, this had nothing to do with it, but there's something you should know about me, Sagaji TV, is that there are two type of anime that I just don't care for. I'm not even, most of the time, 90% of the time, I won't even give it a chance. And that's sports anime, anything that's hyper focused on a sport, whether it's basketball, football, swimming, golf, skateboarding. If it's hyper focused on it, I don't want to watch it. Lately, there was an exception where I watched Blue Lock. Like I said, there's 90% chance that I won't watch it. There's 10% chance I will. And for some reason, Blue Lock made it into the 10%. I'm glad I gave it a shot. I love it. The other style of anime I could care less for is mecha anime. That's right, you heard it. Mecha. Anything that deals with giant robots and fighting the demons or fighting the world or fighting other giant robots, I do not care for. For some reason, when I watch those type of shows, it lacks, not that it lacks heart, but it's something about it like, because it's the robot getting punched, because it's the robot that's powering up, it don't have that same human element. Like, you're like inside the machine going, but I'm like, but it's the robot that's actually doing all the fighting. It's just like, I need that more of a human connection. So when it's a robot fighting, I don't care for it. Now, there was this one anime. Okay. There it is. Now, there was this one anime that dealt with mecha that I actually did not mind watching. I watched it, liked it. I think a year later after that, I watched it again, still liked it. And that was, I'm going to try to pronounce this the best I can. I usually don't memorize anime titles like that, but even though I watch anime like every day. It's called Gargantia on the Verdurous planet. That anime deals with the mecha, like a giant robot machine. I enjoyed that show because what that show is, this guy in a mecha machine, I don't know, did he travel through time and space? Something like that, where he ended up on this planet, a planet of human beings. I think so. He ended up on a planet. Oh yeah, okay, that's what it was. I remember now. So he's at war with this species, alien species. At least that's what he thinks in his mind. They're in space fighting, bam, 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 boom, boom, boom. Somehow his machine malfunctions. He travels through space and time, winds on a planet where there's nothing but human beings on that planet. And then the human beings are kind of not back in the Stone Ages, but they don't know high-tech stuff like giant robot machines or whatever. And these, turns out they're in the water are octopus. Like in his brain, he's like, these octopus are the aliens that be attacking us in space. And they're like, no, these are just regular creatures that are in the ocean. So what happened is, long time ago, the human race divided up into two sections. because the planet was dying. Some humans was like, hey, let's leave the planet because the planet is dying. The other race was like, no, let's like try to morph our genes in order to survive on this planet. So half of them turned into aliens while the other half stayed humans. But those aliens those alien water creatures evolved and start being able to travel through space or something like that. And in the end, everybody was genetically related, ancestrally related way down the line. Nobody knew this history because it's been so long. That's basically the gist of the show. It's interesting. I know I'm not explaining it to its full potential or 100% correctly because it has been a minute since I've seen it, but that's the gist. And in the end, I liked it. 5 stars. It was my vibe. I don't know if you guys, based off when I say that anime wasn't my vibe, that anime wasn't my vibe, if you can get a general sense of my vibe, because my vibe is all over the place. Okay. The next one I want to get into. Okay, we have time for at least one more. So I'm trying to look at, should we go the romantic route? I'm going to go to the romantic route, and I'm going to speak on the, what, I can't read that word, it's so tiny. Okay, so there's one called The Ancient Mage's Bride. Can you guess how I feel about this one? The Ancient Mage's Bride. How do you think I feel? Oh my gosh, you're going to say she loves this one. It's absolutely adorable. Wait, she just said that, so she might be sarcastic and say the opposite. No, you're right on that one, because I loathe this one. I loathe it. I've loathed it. I've seen all of season 1. I will not touch season 2. I loathe it. Why do you loathe it? Maybe. Why do I loathe it? It's easy, because the girl is a slave. The girl is a slave. That's why. He purchased her. You're like, but he got her from all the bad people and helped her and gave her a good home. She's still a slave, and guess what? She has Stockholm syndrome. You don't know what that is? That's when your captive treats you kindly, so then you start to love them. So I loathe this anime because she has Stockholm syndrome. She is still not safe. She should not be loved him. He should not be, first off, he seemed like a grown man. She looked like a kid. I don't know. That's the thing in anime. That's one thing I don't like buy with in anime. All these like grown men liking little people, young people, like extremely young people. It makes me wonder about Japan, like what's going on. Like y'all do this a lot. That's a real bad trope guys got going on. But for the most part, if I take that animal out and it turns out he's like 17, well, if he's like 19 and she's like 18, 17, 18, fine. If you just look at it that way, he was still a slave. You purchased her and then kind of forced her to like live with you. You tell her, don't go into the forest, and no, the fairies can't have you, and you gotta stay with me kind of vibe. And like eventually she starts to love him. Why? Because he's nice to you, because he treats you like a person. Bro, that's how everybody should be treating you. You have Stockholm syndrome. Run away. That's why I don't like that one. I won't get into it. I can't get into it. And that's the last of the episodes or anime series that I'll be talking about on this episode. And I'll see you guys another time. Sagaji TV. Sagaji TV. Sagaji TV.